Folks, I don't know that anyone could have seen this coming. I don't even know if Bryce Young himself could have seen the turnaround that has happened here in Carolina. 5 or 6 weeks ago, a lot of the Carolina Panthers fan base was writing off Bryce Young. They were talking about him being traded, about him not being here next year. They were talking about what quarterback we were going to get in the draft. And it's been a complete 180. And to be fair, when all of this unfolded, I was not one of those ones that wanted to jump up and down and talk about drafts. Like whatever happened, I wanted to wait and see. And I said this was a legacy defining moment for Bryce Young and Dave Canales, both. That's a big decision for a rookie head coach to decide to bench your former number one overall pick. It's a big moment for a number one overall pick to sit down and be humbled and have to wait. And we've talked about this, but you really do wonder the what if game is in what if Andy Dalton never got hurt? What if Andy Dalton was not in that car wreck and we never got to see Bryce Young again? Because it felt like, as much as we want to be positive about where we are today, that might not have happened. But that's how the NFL works. That's how life works. Whenever you are given an opportunity, you have to make the most of it. And there, week after week after week, once Bryce Young came back, you sat back and said, well, Dave Canales isn't buying in, but we are starting to feel like he's playing a little bit better. Like I said, it was like, okay, well, he looked okay, looked decent. Then he started to win some football games. And then now goes up the last 2 weeks and did everything in that was possible by him to win the game for the Carolina Panthers. And they come up short. And that's not on him. But as a fan, you have to be excited. And this is not a scenario where we're going to look around the NFL at other quarterbacks and compare and contrast with CJ Stroud, because that's been there. We've been there, done that. Not going to do that. We're really focused on Bryce Young and the fact that maybe we do have the future. I don't know if Dave Canales is fully sold. I know he's at least sold for the remainder of the season. I still wouldn't be surprised if at some point he makes a decision to bring someone else in, a veteran. But at least from a standpoint of, hey, we have to go out and draft a quarterback, it seems like we're not in that position. And that is all we wanted. I mean, sure, we wanted to win some football games this year, but you can't tell me the team that we've seen over the last 4 weeks of football, I know there was the bye in there, but over the last 4 games, that the team that's been playing out there, led by Bryce Young, with a lot of rookies around him, skill position wise, is not going to be set up to be successful in the NFL for years to come. Now it's early. We're not going to crown anything, but looking ahead, if the Panthers can do the same thing that they did on offense this year on the defensive side of the ball with Dan Morgan in the offseason, securing up the defense and likely possibly a change with the defensive coordinator, you are talking about a team that should compete. And to be honest, I hate to play again, what if, but if the Panthers had won these last 2 games, of course, we would have 5 wins on the season. They would be 5-7, right on the cusp of 1 game back out of first place in the NFC South. Now, playoffs, they're not technically or officially eliminated with 5 games to go, but it's an uphill battle. At 3-9, I don't know what we're going to see. But hey, what we will likely see is hopefully a continued progression and development of Bryce Young. And to be honest, man, he's doing this without star talent out there. I mean, you look at David Moore, you look at Xavier Legette, and it's not a knock on those guys. Adam Thielen is a fantastic wide receiver. Look at the freaking catch he made. That should have been the game. Unfortunately, Panthers had Chuba Hubbard fumble and doesn't work in their favor. But the development of Bryce Young, it's been great. But I wanted to take a second while we're here and look at his stats. Look at the game logs. And so I guess we can start with the 2023 season. We know he played the full season and he had his moments. I think every Carolina Panthers fan points to the Green Bay game. You look at what he did there, 23 of 36, 316 yards, 312 yards, excuse me, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And a lot of folks said, hey, this is it. This is our moment. We've been waiting for this. And the week before, they knocked off Atlanta. And maybe you throw in the Houston game. That was probably his other best game of the entire season. But it never really felt like at any point last year that he was making progress. And I mean, that whole situation wasn't him. Like, we know everything that was surrounding him, but it does feel like that he is just figuring it out. You look at the pressure that they're bringing, the difficult throws that he is making. This is a new quarterback, and it's the quarterback that everyone thought it could be. His processing, his ability to move around in the pocket, make plays with his feet, extend plays, all the things that we were sold on with what we would call Bama Bryce is here. It's happening. But yeah, the 2023 campaign, I don't think, I mean, like we said, there were maybe 3 games that really stood out. From a yardage perspective, he threw for over 200 yards in 5 games. Had a bunch of flops in there. We know about the sacks, 11 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And I mean, I think the biggest takeaway that we've really seen are the sacks going down, his ability to evade some of that pressure and just trust in himself. He's taken some hits. And that was the storyline. It was like, oh, Bryce Young, as small as he is not going to be able to take hits in the NFL. But he's taken hits and sustained them. Now, let's jump ahead. And we really want to look at the 2024 season because that's here, that's present. Did I like that Bryce Young threw the ball 46 times against Tampa Bay? No. As a Panthers fan, I'd love to see Chuba Hubbard more involved in the rushing attack, in general, and Jonathan Brooks. But besides the point, let's go back. First week against New Orleans, terrible start, 13-30, 161 yards, 43.3% completion percentage. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We know we opened it up with an interception, and things went downhill. Follow that up with the Chargers game. He doesn't even eclipse 100 yards, 18-26, 84 yards passing, 69.2% completion percentage, a lot of short throws, and 1 interception. Sacked 2 times, sacked 4 times in the opening week. One of the things that you'll notice is the yards per attempt and the growth and development, that we have seen from him. He's gone from 5.4, 3.2, 5.9 is his average. In the 2023 campaign, 5.5 was his average the whole year. So he's already slowly having an uptick, but a lot of that uptick has happened over the last 5 games. 6.1 average against Denver, 6.6 against New Orleans, 5 against the Giants. We know that one was we didn't throw it out as much. There were some drops. 7.5 against Kansas City, one of the best defenses in the NFL, and 6.5 against Tampa Bay. And again, some drops were baked in there. He probably could have eclipsed 300 yards. Didn't happen. But you love to see this growth. And I know the Denver game, maybe the stats were padded a little bit at the end, but he was 24-37, 224, 64.9% completion, 6.1 average, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Against New Orleans, 16-26, 171, 61.5% completion, 6.6 yards, and then 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The thing about it, though, is you got to dub. You got to win, and that feels good, and that helps with your confidence, and we've seen that. Even in losing, which nobody wants to lose, we are still seeing confidence out of Bryce Young. Giants, 15-25, 126, 60% completion percentage, 5.0 average, 1 touchdown, sacked 1 time. That's the thing. Last year, he had a ton of sacks. A ton. 62 is no joke. He's playing smarter this year, and I think he's just starting to understand the NFL game, and it's making sense. It's helping him in his development. 21-35, 263, 7.5 average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions against the Chiefs. 92.9 passer rating, the best of the season. And then 26 to 46, 298, 56.5 average, 6.5 per attempt, and one touchdown. I got to see if that passer rating. No, Green Bay was his best passer rating as an NFL quarterback. It was 110. Houston was second at 103. He did have a 93 against Minnesota and a 93 against Atlanta. So he did have 4 games that were better than that game last season. But for this season, it was the best game of Bryce Young's career against Kansas City. And over the last 3 weeks, really, we're starting to see him on. Feels like Dave Canales trust him a little bit more. We're taking the training wheels off and giving Bryce Young a chance to make some plays. So if you are a fan of the Carolina Panthers, you have to feel excited. You don't have to, but I would recommend being excited about what you're seeing. And if you want to hold out and wait to show, like, hey, give me a little bit more, I get it. But as a fan, as we look for the future, and hey, I know we're going to need another receiver, no question about it. But the Panthers are in a good position, not having to worry about a quarterback. That's going to do it for today. This is CD. Y'all have a good one.